breathe underwater.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Listen to me. I'm going to tell you this story about this young brother. He one of the guys back when I was in rotation, and y'all know what that means when I say back in rotation. And for those of you that are new, what that means is that when I was active and participating in gang activities, right? And I was the 9. That means I was the one that was in charge on the particular compound that I was on. And I had a lot of issues going on at all times, right? And one of the things about being the 9, you got to understand that, you know, you're going to become like a father figure to a lot of the individuals that you are over, right? And they're going to come to you and talk to you about things and trust you with sensitive things related to them, their family, their cases, just their personal feelings, stuff like that, right? And you have to know the right thing to say. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure that they understand that, you know, you are there for them. That's how I was anyway. Now, you got a lot of people that were in positions of authority that didn't see it the way that I saw it. You know, they felt like you should always go hard at all times, and don't get it twisted. I did that. But I was also the type of individual, if one of my guys has got something going on, I would sit and I would listen to them, because I hated to see them stressing about something that could distract them from the business that we may have going on at any particular time, right? And there was this young brother, I'll never forget him, that came to me, and he was confiding in me about, you know, his brother that was a peon. His brother wasn't affiliated with anything, but he did associate with a lot of individuals on the town that were a part of a different organization than, you know what I'm saying, Gangster Disciple. And I'm not going to even mention the name of that organization, and later on you'll understand why. But at the end of the day, his brother was associated with this one guy that was affiliated. And both of them, they knew each other and had grown up. But the guy, excuse me, see, I got this cold, y'all. The guy that was affiliated, he had been in and out of juvenile. And even though folks' brother knew him, he didn't know how much he had changed as a person on the inside. But they used to hang out together, and they would, you know, rob a few people here and there together. Nothing really major until this particular situation came up, and the guy that was affiliated had this lick that he brought to folks' brother. And this lick was going to be one of those types of licks that could change your life. You feel what I'm saying? Like, dude got like 500 pounds and several, you know what I'm saying, keys of cocaine, and he also had some meth and stuff like that. This is back in the day when meth was just hitting. You feel what I'm saying? Well, it was hitting in the white areas, right? But it would start to penetrate the cocaine market in the black areas at that time, right? And they saw an opportunity to really get paid, right? And plus the money that was there and all this thing. But let me tell you what happened before I give all of it away. Let me tell you what happened. Folks and this other guy that was affiliated in another organization, they come up on the lick, right? So they go to this guy's house, knock on the door. Dude comes to the door, just a green move, right? Because they knew him as well. They go to the door, he knocks, open the door, they push their way in, right? Now once they get in, they see that it's the dude, his girl, you feel what I'm saying? And then, you know, the folks' brother and the guy that's affiliated in another organization, right? So once they push their way in, dude know what they want. He knows why they're there, but he's like playing his role, you know, man, what y'all doing? I ain't got nothing to hear, this and that. So, bro, them, you know, they immediately smack him, pow. You know what I'm saying? Folks' brother smack him. Man, where is it at, man? We ain't got time to be playing. Let us get there so we can get up out of here. So the guy that's affiliated in this other organization, he goes and he starts to look around while folks' brother keep the gun on dude and his gal, making sure they don't get up and move or nothing like that, right? So he goes in the back and he sees stuff laid out everywhere. I'm talking about weed, meth, cocaine, but he didn't see where the money was at. So he came back out and he said, man, where the money at? Where the money at? So he started beating dude, pistol whipping dude, man. I'm talking about whipping him to the point where he's just messed up bad right there in front of his gal. He still ain't saying nothing. So the dude that's, excuse me, the dude that's affiliated, he said, man, tell me where the money, and they put the gun right in the gal face. Put the gun, I'm talking about right in her face. He said, where the money at? Dude said, I don't know. And before he even got it all the way out his mouth, he dome shot the gal. Pow! Killed her right there on the spot. You understand? Dropped her. Now dude is sitting there, he panicking. He said, man, I get it, man. Please don't kill me, man. He crying, he going through his all this and that, right? And he gets up off of him, he drags him, he said, tell me where the money is. So he take him in the back room, and dude had a safe in the floor. They pulled the rug off the thing, he opens up the safe, and when he opened up the safe, and dude that's affiliated seeing all the money, he said, is that it? Is that all you got? He said, yeah, man, I promise. That's all I got, man. You ain't have to kill my gal, And right then and now, he dome shot him, dropped it. So now, folks' little brother and this other guy that's affiliated in this other organization, they started to get everything loaded up. You feel what I'm saying? They get all the money loaded up. They got duffel bags that was already in the house. They load up everything. They clean everything out. Now this house was out in this isolated area, right? It was neighbors, but the neighbors are probably half a mile apart. You feel what I'm saying? Nice little area, right? The kind of secluded area. You feel what I'm saying? So nobody came to the rescue. Nobody heard the gunshots. None of this kind of stuff, right? So they were able to get all of this stuff. And they loaded it in the car. And then when they were going back in, when they got back in the house, and they were looking around to make sure it wasn't nothing else, folks' brother turns his back. And when he turns his back on the guy that's affiliated, guess what he did? He shot him, and he hit him right in his back and dropped him. And then when folks' brother rolled over, he gets over the top of him and he shoots him 2 more times and walks out, laughing. Folks' little brother heard him laughing, so he walks out. And he thinks that, the guy that's affiliated, he thinks that folks' little brother is gonna die. But he don't. He don't die. He's laying there, and he's about gone. And luckily for him, the dude that owned the house, one of his partners was supposed to have been meeting him there to pick up something. So he gets to the house. And when he gets to the house, he sees the gal, she's dead on the couch. He sees his partner in the bedroom dead. And he sees this dude that he does not know laying there gurgling in his own blood. So when he gets over the top of him, he checks his pulse. He knows he's still alive. He calls 911, and he's trying to drag him get out of the house and get him in the car so he can get him to the hospital. But he can't get up, and folks' brother, he can't feel nothing below his waist. So dude, he kind of big, so he picked folks' brother up, and he runs into the car. And he's on the phone with the 911 telling them, look, I got him in the car. I'm on my way to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? So that they wouldn't send an ambulance there, but they still sent the police there because he told them there's 2 bodies in the house. I'm on my way to the hospital. He said, this man been shot. So he gets him to the hospital. Police are everywhere. Police done got to the house. They're at the hospital. They get folks' brother into the hospital, and they're treating him. And it's touch and go. But he survives, right? And now they got the guy that came to the house to save folks' brother. They got him. They at him. What were you doing out there? And what's going on? And this, and that. And lucky for him that he was able to prove that he had just got there. Because they got all the surveillance cameras all the way on the way to that house to show the timeline that he had just got there. And they were also able to pick up this other car that was leaving. And folks, his brother is laying up in the hospital. They haven't had a chance to talk to him because he's in intensive care. Excuse me. And he's on the breathing machine and all this and that. They got him stabilized, but he ain't been able to talk to the police. The only information that they've been able to get, they got from the dude that saved folks' brother's life. So now they're waiting on him to come to the point to where the doctors will say that it's safe to talk to him. So after about 2 or 3 weeks, he finally is able to talk. And he is terrified. He's telling them he can't feel his legs, and they break the bad news to him. The doctor tells him that you're paralyzed from the waist down. It ain't nothing that we can do about that. And they're trying to tell him, you got a lot of life ahead of you, this is that, young. And the 2 shots that he got in his chest, luckily, it didn't kill him. So he was able to survive that. And he finally ended up talking to the police. And when he was talking to the police, they told him, look, you need to tell us what's going on, because it was 2 people in that house with you, and they were dead. And we found a gun that was in the house with your fingerprints on it, but it hadn't been fired. They knew that. And they told him, he said that it was this car that we got. They showed him the car that was leaving the house, or that area rather, at a particular time. And they were able to conclude that this is the house, this is the car that was at that house, based on eyewitness testimony and all this thing, because they had talked to everybody in the area. But nobody heard the shots, but they remember that car. So when he saw the car, the police detectives, they were looking at him, they were able to tell he knows something. And they told him, you need to tell us everything, because you don't want to end up with these 2 bodies. You don't want to end up with these 2 bodies. They told him, we understand that the gentleman that got killed was a drug dealer. They knew that. So they figured it was some kind of drug deal gone bad. So folks' brother, he's laying there in the bed, and his mama's right there by his side, and she's sitting in there with him, and she says, please, baby, tell the officers the truth. Tell them what happened. Because she doesn't even know. Nobody knows. How in the world did folks brother end up paralyzed? They said, what happened? What is going on? So he lays there and he starts to tell them the whole story. And his mom stops him in the middle of it, says, wait a minute. Before you say anything else, because he had already told them they went there to rob dude. And his mom said, before you say anything else, I want to know, is he going to be arrested? And the officers, that's just still trying to play their role. They want to arrest everybody. But she says, my son doesn't have anything else to say unless y'all can protect him. And he shouldn't be going to jail for something that he ended up almost getting killed about. The officers disagreed with it, but they called the DA. And the DA said, look, tell him to tell us everything, and we're going to work out something to make sure he doesn't go to prison, but he's going to have to testify. So his mom was so terrified that he was going to get hemmed up, she had him put it in writing. They get it in writing, come back, bring the paperwork back to the hospital, and then he signs the paperwork after she reads over it. No lawyer present. She's taking care of the business. She reads over, he signs it. Now he's protected. So he tells them everything. And his mom is sitting there listening, and she starts to cry. And once he laid the whole story out, the detectives are writing down everything. He gave the guy's name and everything in this other organization. The detectives are listening, and they're saying that this is serious. This is way bigger than what we thought, because this guy is affiliated in this gang that is well known for being treacherous in the neighborhood. And if he decided to testify, it could get dangerous for him. He would not be able to live in this neighborhood anymore, because this neighborhood is blanketed with this particular type of organization. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody in this neighborhood is affiliated with this organization. Everybody. So they tell him, look, we're going to have to work out something. So they call the DA back, and they tell the DA the whole story. And once the DA hears the story, he concludes the same thing that the officers conclude. And now they decide that, okay, no more information is going to be released about this young man. You know what I'm saying? The only thing they're going to say on the news is that he survived and the investigation was ongoing. That was it. It was a media blackout. So now nobody's knowing anything. But the mom does. And this guy, before they arrest him, they want to watch him. They're trying to watch him and see what he does, because they consider him to be armed and dangerous. They want to catch him right so that he can't hurt anybody else. So she sees him ride by the house one day. They hadn't picked him up, but they're about to. They took it to the grand jury. They finna get him. So she sees him ride by the house one day, and she's terrified. So she calls the police, and she lets them know that she just saw him. And they said that it won't be long. We're finna pick him up. So a few days go by, and they ended up picking him up, and they arrested him. And they take him in, and they charge him with 2 counts of first-degree felony murder and 1 count of attempted murder. And when he's in jail, now all of his gang brothers, they're benefiting from this big old haul that he got. They got money, they doing things big in the streets and all this and that. And everybody is looking at him like he's some kind of like Don Corleone. He's really got a lot of pull now because all of that stuff that he robbed, his gang brothers are eating off of it and they're taking care of him and everybody's looking at like what's going on. And then all of a sudden, everybody finds out that the witness against him is folks' brother. Everybody finds this out, but nobody can find it. And then word starts to creep out. Word starts to creep out that he's missing. Folks' brother is missing. So everybody in the street, they conclude, man, the police got him here somewhere. They got to. So this gang is looking for him. They're looking for him. And they keep riding by his mom. His mom and them don't live in that neighborhood anymore. They keep riding by his mom's house because they knew where she lived. And they stop in there, park in front of the car. So the police ended up having to put a police car out there in front of their house because they refused to move. And her husband, her son's daddy, you know, he was with it. He was with it. So he'd go out there every now and then with his gun. He'd tell him, he said, man, I'm not finna play with y'all kids. You need to stop playing. You need to stop playing. So they said something smart back in the system, and then the police would get out of their car and then they would drive off. They never arrested any of them for trying to intimidate and threaten his family. But folks, his little brother, he's all the way in another state in protective custody. And don't nobody know where he's at but his family. Now folks is sitting in the prison and he's telling me about what went down, right? And now he wants his lick back. He wants his lick back because his brother ain't gonna never walk no more. And everybody's calling him a snitch. And now he's trying to figure out in his mind, you know, what to do. And I tell him, I said, look, bro, this is one of those situations where you gotta let it play out. And that was the best advice I could give him in the moment. Because as hard as this is gonna sound, if we make a move right now and we do something to the other organization, the brothers that were in the penitentiary, now keep him, and let me explain something. The individual that did this wasn't at the prison that we were at. He was at another facility. And he was getting a lot of love. But the individuals that were part of the organization that he was in that was at the facility that we were at, once they heard about it, they immediately came to me and the rest of us saying, look, we ain't got nothing to do with that. What he did was foul. You feel what I'm saying? And the family's supposed to be taken care of. We knew they were talking out of both sides of their mouths. We knew that. But we were trying to wait for the right moment before we did anything. We can't just jump the gun here, right? Can't just jump the gun. Now, we had a lot of brothers that didn't want to do anything with this issue because they were trying to say that folks' brother still shouldn't be testifying against dude. And I was torn about the situation because I was saying, okay, if they're going to keep it in the streets, keep it in the streets. But then it's like, dude didn't keep it 100. He shot this man in the back. So it was like, let it play itself out. Let it play itself out. I said, this is one of those situations where that's their fight. And I told folks, I said, stand down for now and let's just see what happens. I said, but this is not an issue between you and the other organization. This is an issue between you and dude. And the time will come where you will be able to deal with that. So I could tell he really didn't want to hear what I had to say. And those individuals that were part of the organization, GD, that agreed with him, they started to huddle and talk, and I knew what that was about. I knew what that was about. they agreed with bro and they wanted to get their lick back. And I didn't stand in their way. I didn't stop them. I didn't tell them that they should do this. I didn't tell them they should do that. I just stood back. And I told all of the POAs, I said, man, look, he's going to have to sort this out, man. And if he needs us, we're going to be there. But this is not GD business. This is not GD business. You feel what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm not going to let bro end up getting hurt because he's upset right now. I'm not going to let him get hurt. So he would pick and choose times to try to start arguments with these individuals in this other organization, just trying to bait them, just trying to get them to do something because he wanted to send a message to dude. And the other organization, the head of that organization, he'd been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? He knew what was going on. So he pulled bro to the side one day with my permission. And he told him, he said, look, bro. He said, listen to me. I know you pissed off. I know you pissed off. But that's the streets. All of this is in the street. And we ain't had nothing to do with what bro did. And we'll deal with that. We'll deal with him. Just because he getting a lot of shine right now don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing. Let this trial end. Let all of this stuff be over with. And then we will deal with him, man. We'll deal with him. But let us do it. Don't be trying to pick no war with us, man. Don't do that. So, bro, he come back to me and he tell me everything that the dude said to him, right? And I said, man, I agree with that. I said, but I know you pissed off. I know you pissed off. But stand down. So now here comes the trial. They take the dude that's affiliated in this other organization, they take him to court. Then they bring folks' brother into the courtroom. He come in there in a wheelchair. And he gets up on the stand. And he breaks down and he tells everything that went on from the planning of the operation to what happened when they got in there to the moment that he got hit in his back. Because he said after he got hit in his back and he rolled over, he just remembered being hit 2 more times and he was unconscious. And he remembered that it was his partner that did it. Now the jury is listening to all of this. The judge is listening to all of this. His mom and dad are in the audience listening to all of this. The guy that got killed, the girl that got killed, their parents are in the audience. They're listening to all of this. And dude that's affiliated in this other organization is sitting at the table. He got a smirk on his face. And for whatever reason, the state didn't seek the death penalty. They didn't even seek the death penalty. But it didn't take the jury long to come back with a guilty verdict. And they ended up giving dude 2 life sentences without parole, running wild. And running wild means you got to finish one and then you start the other. You understand? And then they gave him 35 years for the attempted murder and some other charges, right? A total of 35 years, running consecutive as well, running wild. So he has to finish 1 life sentence without parole before he starts on the other life sentence without parole. And then he starts on the 35 years that he has to do. And basically all that means is that he's never getting out of prison. So he's sitting at the table and he jumps up and he starts to yell at dude and call dude, you a rat. You shouldn't have done that. You supposed to keep it in the streets, all this and that, right? And I say that to say this to y'all. Listen to the rationale. Listen to what dude is saying. This dude, and as far as bro's little brother understood, nobody supposed to got killed. So listen, I want y'all to understand the fullness of this when you talk about that life. This individual that killed 2 people and then shot the person that went to help him rob these people that didn't know that they was going to end up dead. He shot him in the back and then tried to kill him as well. And he's calling him a rat, saying he should have kept it in the streets. This is the lifestyle choice that you're making. You're choosing a life that has no boundaries, no real rules. You make it up as you go. And you tell me that you're about that life. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. Think about what you're doing. No matter what your situation is, no matter how bad it is, no matter how bad it gets, this lifestyle that's going to lead you to prison, that's going to lead you to hurt people, that's going to lead you to betray the people that are there by your side, you need to think about that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing honorable about this lifestyle. It's nothing to brag about. Absolutely nothing to brag about. Remember that, y'all. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.
I've been trying to breathe underwater. What?